My Adventures with Superman Season 2 begins with Superman's father, who warns him that someone very much powerful than him is going to come to Earth soon and destroy him. He wakes up only to realize it's just a dream. At the Daily Planet, Miss Lane wakes up from a nap only to receive a motivational letter from Clark. She replies through a text that she got it, and she loves him. But her worries is she has been trying to get in contact with her dad for days but has been unreachable. Jimmy enters work so excited, wishing everyone happy Valentine's Day. He asks Clark what plan he has with Miss Lane today, but the reply he gave was quite funny that gets the fellow workers' attention. He plans on taking Miss Lane to the rooftop to eat soup, and he will then read poem for her afterwards. They all give him lines on how to be romantic, but this gets interrupted by the Daily Planet boss Perry. He complains how their competitor, Vicky, has always been ahead of them. She has been scooping them on every major news story for months. Miss Lane enters to bring a news that will put them ahead of their competitor again. She just got information from her former classmate, who now works at the Star Labs, who has been tracking a meteorite in space for 12 hours. A meteorite that, if its orbit decays, will crash to Earth. The boss is impressed about this news and asks Clark, Lane, and Jimmy to go to the Star Labs to get informations. They arrived at Star Labs, but Clark seems really tensed up. He is nervous as everyone sees his plan with Lane to celebrate Valentine's Day as being boring. Jimmy saw a scientist whose job application was rejected by the Star Labs without even at least finding out his capabilities. Jimmy motivates him that if he wants to achieve the future he wants, he has to crave his own path. They finally meet the guy for information, and he tells them this meteorite is something he has never seen before. The ones he has seen mostly burn up in the atmosphere, but this one went through Antarctica and disappeared. He shows them footages of where the meteorite landed, and Clark realizes it's not a meteorite, but his spaceship. He tells Jimmy and Lane about this and tells them about the vision he had. He thought it's just a dream, but he really wants to find the ship just to make sure it doesn't open a portal or something. When Jimmy, Lane, and Clark arrives at Antarctica, Clark suddenly sees a ghost of his father just like he saw in his dreams, and followed him. Meanwhile, Jimmy and Lane finally found the spaceship and decides to enter it. Clark meets the ghost of his father, who gives answers to his unanswered questions. Questions like why he sent him to Earth, a planet he doesn't belong to. His name is Jor-El, who was a scion of the Kryptonian Empire, a planet where he came from. Years ago, Krypton Empire had conquered and spread across the stars like disease, until they found an enemy they could not defeat. Their empire was falling into a war of their own making, and it was clear that no one on the planet would survive. That's when Clark's father and mother decided to send him away through a ship to save his life. In conclusion, he tells Clark that all the Kryptonian are dead except for him and his cousin Kara. Clark is shocked, thinking he was the only one, but the day he was sent to Earth, his cousin Kara was also sent by his brother. Unfortunately, their reunion is short-lived as Jor-El reveals intruders are attempting to break into the ship. While Clark realizes this likely means Jimmy and Lois are in the ship, Jor-El tells him they aren't the only ones who snuck into the ship. Amanda Waller and her mutants also enters the ship, and she gives them orders of collecting as much tech they find in the ship. She wants to take down Superman by any means possible, and she believes something from his ship can help her take him down. Lane and Jimmy overhears her plans, and she also finds out that Amanda Waller captured her father Sam, who have been missing for days. The ghost tells Superman on how stupid he is for bringing his fragile human friends, who does not have any power, to the ship. One of Amanda Waller's henchmen catches Lane and Jimmy and tries to finish them, but Superman stops it with his lasers. The guy transforms into a Hulk-like being and beats the crap out of Superman. During the fight, they fell inside an opening in the ship with everywhere glowing green. It's actually a kryptonite in that place, and Superman becomes extremely weak from it. Amanda Waller and Deathstroke enters the place, and upon finding out that it's actually Superman's weakness, she orders Deathstroke to get it for her. Superman uses the last energy to bring out lasers to stop him. During the distraction, Jimmy quickly takes the kryptonite and puts it inside a container. Superman is outnumbered and overpowered, but his ghost father comes to his rescue. Amanda Waller and her guys escapes, while Jor-El makes the ship somehow invisible, so no one will ever locate it again. Immediately after the whole battle, Jor-El tells Clark that this would be the last time they will see each other because the kryptonite has destroyed what is little of him remains. Superman asks about his cousin Kara, and in reply, Jor-El tells him to find her ship communication beacon, which is in a kind of dimensional gateway, and that is what he can use to find Kara. Before he says his final goodbye, he tells Clark how he made him so proud because he has turned his powers into a shield for the helpless and have filled his life with love. Later on, he asks Lane why it doesn't bother her that he is not human. With a romantic reply from her, Superman takes her to the sky to show her its beauties, but Lane asks for a favor from him. She asks him to help her save her dad from Amanda Waller, who was holding him prisoner. Deathstroke shows his sword made from the pieces of the kryptonite he saw, and they smile as they are finally going to kill Superman. After a few days, the scene takes us to Amanda Waller, who wakes up in the morning and prepares breakfast. She takes it to where she keeps her prisoners to see Lane's father, Sam Lane. He was the former boss of this operation, which is called the Task Force X, but Amanda Waller betrayed him and took over the organization. She's here for no other reason but to interrogate him. Lane, who knows Amanda Waller captured her dad, wants to track him down and doesn't even mind searching the entire city. Clark promises her to find her father and rescue him. He decides to tell Lane something he has been willing to tell her, but a little boy gets their attention. After he confirms they are Clark and Miss Lane, he begs them to help him give a message to Superman because he knows they are friends with him. The boy introduces his name as Billy and shows a picture of his dad, who was a volunteer librarian at Stryker Prison. His dad told him about people disappearing recently, and he never came home that night. Clark promises to pass the message to Superman, and the little boy thanks him in tears. Miss Lane knows that the Task Force X are surely responsible for the missing people. They contact Jimmy to come assist them in the rescue, but he is too choked up with work. He needs to spend time to actually work on Flamebird. Now he's got a team he has to manage with new interns, the kids he found in the street that gives good informations, as he needs to put out many videos a day as part of his new job. Clark and Lane go to the prison on their own, and Lane gives a plan to sneak inside, which is about disguising themselves as wealthy business partners. But Clark uses the fastest way by taking her inside the Task Force X building as Superman. They see thousands of prison there, but they find no prisoners. Superman scans the place and finds out there is a secret door. He opened the door just to find an elevator shaft. They went to the camera area, and they find out where Amanda Waller is actually keeping all her prisoners. Superman also sees the beacon here, something his father told him about, which he can use to find his cousin Kara. Amanda Waller begins her interrogation with Sam Lane, threatening him to reveal to her about all his hidden safe houses. There is fracture of high-level technology she needs, and knows Sam is hiding those technologies in his safe house. The general has nothing to lose and tells her nothing, but she lets him know his daughter Lane is inside the building, and she will get and kill her, and he doesn't reveal the information. Lane disguises herself as a prison guard and meets her dad to rescue him. But her dad is instead so angry on why she came to rescue him because she is putting herself in danger. How can she just rush in here when she has no idea who she's up against? Superman tells Sam that Miss Lane did all she did out of concern for him, but he tells Superman to shut his mouth. Her father was once the leader of the Task Force X, which he created to take down aliens and overpowered creatures just like Superman. But Amanda Waller betrayed him and took over the organization because he wasn't willing to do despicable things to take down Superman, like putting people's lives in danger. Superman and Sam argues he doesn't seem to be appreciative with his own rescue, but Lane drags into a corner and pleads with him that what's more important is rescuing him first and that little boy's dad. They look around, but the Sam is nowhere to be found. Amanda Waller is so angry knowing Sam has escaped. She gets trapped in a place by Sam, which separates her from her mutant soldiers. Sam tells her to join him and still protect the planet together, but Amanda Waller always wants to be the number one. Since he has made it clear that she can't control him, she decided to eliminate him by ordering her mutant called Atomic Skull, who has atomic powers, to take him down. Superman tells her he doesn't like her dad because of how he treats her. He makes her feel small, but to him she is really amazing. Sam comes out from nowhere and tells them both to run while being chased by Atomic Skull. Meanwhile, Jimmy's worried about Lois and Clark, so he decides to take his whole Flamebird team to Task Force X building. Superman carries Sam and Lane to lose trace of the mutant, and they ended up in a place where Amanda Waller is keeping all her prisoners. Superman finds the little boy's father there, who explained how he was working in the library where everything was fine, until he later realized the inmates were going missing. All of them were non-violent offenders, mostly people who can't pay bills. When he asked too many questions, that was how he found himself in this place where Amanda Waller said no one would come for them, because no one will care if these people disappeared. They have been running tests on them by using weird technologies. Obviously, they are turning people into living weapons. Superman figures out they are using Kryptonian technology on these people, but he decides to put an end to these nonsense. He releases all the prisoners, but Amanda Waller shows up during her escape and refuses to back down, ordering Atomic Skull to kill them. Superman goes to fight him, who gave him a really tough time, but still manages to defeat him. He finds the beacon his dad told him about and takes it. Meanwhile, Miss Lane and her dad successful escapes with the prisoners out of the Task Force X building, but are stopped by her soldiers using high-tech weapons. Angry Superman, who couldn't take this anymore, destroys all this weapon and uses a breeze from his mouth to knock them out. Jimmy arrives on a yacht and helps the prisoners escape. Sam Lane is so disappointed with Amanda Waller, who was willing to hurt civilians. He thought he knew the people he actually surrounded himself with. Miss Lane tells him to come stay with her, but he knows it's risky since Amanda Waller is still looking for him. But according to Lane's suggestion, he decided to stay with Clark and Jimmy. Someone yells on Amanda Waller on the phone for turning a top-secret organization into a breaking news event and warns her to pull it together. Amanda Waller hears a screaming, which turns out to be an escaped mutant prisoner, Evo, attacking her guard. The mutant tries to take her down but is stopped by that scientist whose job application was rejected by Star Labs. He tells Amanda Waller that he wants to help her safeguard Earth from all that threatens it, either aliens or Superman. She is impressed with his brilliant mind and tech ideas and decided to employ him to work for her as her new lead scientist. The guy introduces himself as Lex Luthor, and that was how the episode ended. If you don't want to miss out on our next recap on this show, please subscribe to this channel and keep watching. Bye.